The average age of people retiring in Australia over the last few years has been just over 64 years of age. Now, many people will plan to retire at 60 or 65, some might even plan to retire in their 50s. But what happens in the event that we are forced into retirement, either through losing our job or through some form of disability or health issue? What would we do in this scenario? What would our backup plan be? What strategies should we revert to, and what should we consider? Let's dive into this scenario today and explore some of the things that we should be thinking about when it comes to this scenario. Hi there, I'm Jarrad Brown, Australian expat financial planner based here in Singapore. Today we're talking about the scenario of what happens in the event that you're forced into retirement, either through loss of job or through health or some sort of disability preventing you from working again, but still being able to actually retire and spend money and enjoy those later years in life. In this scenario, we need to think about a few things. One, naturally, the first thing to think about is saving as much as you can towards your retirement before you get into these later years, whilst you know that you can afford to save it. So if you're in your 20s, 30s, 40s, even 50s, start putting away as much as you can for those later years in life. The second thing to think about is in the event that you lost your job, either through termination or through some form of health scare or disability, you need to think about whether you would go and seek another job, whether you would try and find a job that pays a similar amount of money, still working full-time, still in corporate life, or whether you would stop work altogether and instead simply live on a less expensive retirement lifestyle. Would you go back to Australia? And therefore, what are the tax implications of that scenario? Would you remain in Singapore and have your partner take on more work or re-enter the workforce, or maybe take on a different job? Would you relocate elsewhere? And if so, what are the tax implications? What are the financial implications of such a move? And how would you shift your assets, the ownership structures, and your overall financial position in the event that you lost your job and were to relocate in the short term? These are the things that we need to give some thought to before it happens. It's always a good idea to have a game plan. A recent estimate suggested that 2 in 5 retirees in Australia are forced into retirement earlier than they expect. Now, whether it's 10% or 30, 40% of people who retire earlier than they want to, this scenario is very real and certainly something that we need to give some thought to. So work out what your backup plan is, what the default strategies you would revert to would be, whether it's spending less in retirement, adjusting your lifestyle, or even searching for a different job, maybe even starting your own business. Giving these things some thought ahead of time is always going to pay dividends later on in life. Thank you for tuning in. Drop me a note with any questions. See you in the next video.